I want to turn to John McClain right now, the longtime chronicler of Houston sports for the Houston Chronicle, joining me once again here on the Rich Eisen Show. Is this the end of the Andre Johnson era for the Texans, for sure, in your mind?
This is the end of the Andre Johnson era with the Texans. It ends after
no kidding
12 years, and he's been one of the greatest receivers in history. And Rich, I believe 5 years after his career ends, he'll be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
So why did this come to this, John?
He met with Bill O'Brien last Thursday. Bill told him they're going to make a push to bring in a receiver, and his role would be reduced. He said he might, according to Andre, O'Brien told him he might not start every game, he might not catch but 40 passes, and so Andre had no interest in that role. And he said, well, then will you trade me or cut me? And General Manager Rick Smith told his agent, Kennard McGuire, you guys can find a trade, and if nobody trades for him, then he'll be cut and become unrestricted.
So have his skills diminished to the point where this is what his role in the NFL should be, John, or are we going to find out otherwise with him going to another team?
Rich, Andre turns 34 in July. Last season had 85 catches, 936 yards. That's 11-yard average, and 3 touchdowns. Now, I think he would have had more, but they had 4 quarterbacks, and they started 3, and none was a difference maker. And so I think he can go somewhere. I think he'll end up being cut. I would not let money be an issue. He's made $90 million, and I would call New England, Seattle, Green Bay. If they lose Randall Cobb, I'd call Gary Kubiak, of course. And if I'm Andre Johnson, I want to play with a big-time quarterback for the first time in my career who gives me a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Well, John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, I mean, wouldn't the Colts be the team that he would want to call first, stay in the division, stick it to the employer that said that your role would be diminished and have Andrew Luck throwing you passes?
And the Colts, you're right, Colts are $40 million under the cap, but I don't believe that money is going to be an issue. But yes, I was inadvertently left off the Colts, and he could go there, play with Andrew Luck, play opposite T.Y. Hilton. Hilton's obviously the number 1 receiver there, deep threat. The deep ball was never Andre's specialty. He never relied on speed. It was always his size, his fearlessness, his hands, the way he ran routes, the ball skills, leaping ability. I think he can do what Anquan Bolden's done. He can go somewhere, play another couple of years, but when it's all said and done, he's still always going to be a Houston Texan.
So give me an idea of what the Texans' offense is going to look like this fall. Who's throwing to whom, John?
Well, they want to re-sign Ryan Mallett, and it wouldn't be surprised. I don't believe Ryan Fitzpatrick will be on the roster when they go to camp. I think he'll be cut or traded. He's coming off a pretty good season. They'll have Tom Savage, and I think they might have another veteran. They might have a draft choice. Bill O'Brien is all about competition, Rich, but I believe when the season starts, Ryan Mallett will be the starter unless a team steps up and gives him a lot of money. But I don't see it, Rich, when he's had one good game in his 4-year career.
John McClain of the Houston Chronicle joining me here. So what is the status of Jadeveon Clowney as you and I are currently talking?
Rich, we're so far away from knowing about Clowney. He's done his rehab exactly the way he's supposed to, but he's still way away. They don't have a clue. Nobody does. All they know, for a guy that had microfracture surgery, 4 holes drilled into his knee, he's coming along the way they want, but he may not be there until the start of the season.
What's going on across the state with the Dallas Cowboys, from what you're hearing, John, with Des Bryant franchised and DeMarco Murray poised to hit the open market a week from today?
It looks like they're going to let him hit the market and hope that he gives them a chance to match. And you know, Rich, you've seen it. A player says he will, but then he doesn't. They get mad. Well, if I'm worth this to you now, why was I not worth this to you a week ago? I think if he hits the market, he's gone. There's a lot of teams that have a lot of money. What if Indianapolis added DeMarco Murray, Andre Johnson, and maybe even Ndamukong Suh? They have the money to do it if they want to do it that way. I still think Suh stays in Detroit. But they could add Murray, and they could add Andre Johnson.
That would be ridiculous, John. There's no other word to put it. That would put Indianapolis already as a team that's advanced every single year in the playoffs further than the year before, since Andrew Luck's come on campus, if you will, in Indianapolis. That would put them at the top of the charts, atop the AFC. John?
That would make them a perennial Super Bowl favorite as long as as long as Andrew Luck stayed healthy. Now, Murray's hurt every year he's been in football except his contract year, and he had a lot of wear and tear on his tires this season. So what are the odds he's going to be healthy all next season? And then, of course, Andre will be 34. But for at least next season, that would make them a lot of people would put them right up there with New England and Seattle,
no doubt,
as the favorites to win the Super Bowl.
No doubt. And let's not forget Denver, too, because everybody expects Peyton Manning to be back. We spoke in the last hour with Chris Fowler, voice of college football on ESPN, about Winston and Mariota. Number 3 on Mike Mayock's quarterback list for the draft is Baylor's Bryce Petty. What can you tell me about this young man that would convince a team to go ahead and use a draft choice on him?
I watched every game he played, Rich. He's almost 6'3", weighs 230, ran for 21 touchdowns in his 2 years as a starter, has a really good arm, very smart. The drawback on a guy, just like it is Mariota, those guys have been conditioned to make the call as quickly as possible. They've never looked over a defense, don't know about protection schemes or setting the edge, any of those things. But Petty is very smart. He's a quick learner. I think his rookie year would be used to learn those things. And then he's got a chance to be a productive quarterback. He's got intangibles. He's got experience in college. He's not one of these guys with only 2 years, and he's in the NFL. And as teams get to meet him, they're going to like him. I think he'll end up no later in the third, possibly sneak into the second.
Well, John, the reason why I know you're such a big Baylor guy, because not only because you're in Houston, because I follow you on Twitter at McClain_on_NFL, and you're a big Twitter guy. So I want to give you the opportunity to hit on the Curt Schilling reaction to the trolls that he received, the off-the-charts comments in regards to his daughter wanting to play softball or is going to play softball at a college. It was just a mere mention celebrating his daughter's achievement on the sports field and also collegiately. I want to give you the floor on what you think about how Curt Schilling responded.
I think if you're right about somebody's daughter, it opens the door for anything. But I tell you what, Rich, I noticed the head of Twitter said they need to do a better job of policing comments. And one thing I don't read the comments. I tweet. I don't, and that's to avoid a situation like Curt Schilling.
So what do you think about maybe youth sports coaches, prep coaches, college coaches, managers of youth sports, prep sports, college sports, monitoring Twitter accounts and suspending players for this sort of behavior? What would you think about that, John?
I don't think I can understand Schilling doing what he did. It's family. But you tell kids, I guess a lot of coaches today, Rich, consider Twitter and what you say on Twitter, just like if you break a rule for drinking or smoking or pot, if the coaches tell you can't do it, then you can't do it. And it seems like it's creating a lot of ill will, but you know what? It does a lot of good, too. When I think of Ed Werder and what he's going through with his daughter and son-in-law and all the good things that have been the good wishes to Ed Werder, I think Twitter also can be very, very productive as well as very, very, very harmful.
Well, I want to add my sentiments as well for what you said about Ed, one of the good guys at ESPN as well. And I thank you for calling in, John. I already look forward to our next chat. We'll chat as we get closer to the draft, if that's good.
Rich, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much. It's always an honor.
Likewise. Likewise. It's John McClain of the Houston Chronicle joining me here.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.